There we go. Looks like we are live. Looks like audio is going. Let me know if you're able to hear things. I don't know what's going on with Gibson over there. I think he's mad that Wade's bed is kind of overlapping his. He's laying there huffing at me. Like, see how his head's actually up, unlike usual? Just lay down. Be a calm boy. It's okay that your beds are touching. He is such a drama queen. Okay, let's see. So we are working on, I'm going to focus on the turtle today. Okay, good. Audio, everything's checked. Good. Thank you. Yay. Okay, so just before we get started, if you are looking for straight tutorials, Patreon is going to be a better fit for you. That I'm not rambling. These are artist hangouts on these live streams where we're just rambling and chatting about all things, like my dog over there with an attitude. He's quite unhappy about the bed positioning, I think. Or frogs and everything else I ramble about. If you want just straight art lessons, that is for what you're going to want Patreon for. For as little as $4 a month, you get access to all of my longer tutorials. I just updated my Patreon video library with like 20 additional things that I was just behind on updating. It is all there now. The link is in the video description if you want to check that out. I have a new lesson every single week. And yeah, so straight lessons, that is Patreon. These are artist hangouts where I get to chat with you guys, because if you've ever emailed me, you know I don't get back to people. So there's just no time. So this is the opportunity, I can't say the word. I'm so tired. I don't know how I'm awake right now. I'm having one of those like major fibromyalgia days where I'm not having pain issues. I'm having, oh dear God, I need to go back to sleep issues. I slept enough. I don't know what my deal is. This should make it interesting. My brain is definitely not like firing on all cylinders. Is that how that goes? On all the spark plugs? Or I'm missing spark plugs? I don't know. There's some kind of technical term in there. So for today, we're going to be working on the sea turtle. We already have the very sloppy, very messy base. Funnily enough, I'm also working right now on, I'm doing a digital painting for Aquashella's badges, and I'm using the same sea turtle, the same angle. I'm going to change that one. That fin came out way too far on that one. This one, luckily, it gets cut off, so it's not as obvious. No one cares. It just, I was just before this looking at it going, I have to fix that. It looks terrible. Ours got chopped off, so ours looks okay. Okay, here we go. So this is just a layering process of blocking in stuff, and I have this pencil out, and it's not even what I want. Let's see. I'm mostly set up, but not completely. And let's get our glassine down so I can rest my hands on this, but it's gonna have to scooch over a lot. Just wrap that around the side here. That's not a mess. You only think it's a mess. Okay. What do I want to start with? Let's just pick one spot on the shelf. So I'm going to need to use a lot of the colors. The reference photo, the colors are very greens and kind of muted, but because we've got him in space with all these pinks and purples, I need to use those pinks and purples on the sea turtle so he feels like he's a part of this. I'll still use the greens and olive color, olive is green, yellows, all of those colors, but I need to incorporate a lot more with the pinks and purples too to make this work. So we'll just start grabbing some pencils. That's way too green. I am not using that. Go back in there. And there's no, like, you have to use this exact color to make it. I'm just grabbing stuff. If I make a few pencil strokes and it looks terrible, I put that pencil down and grab a different pencil. Okay. I'd make fun of you guys complaining about the heat, except I realize that those of you in like a lot of these areas that are having these horrible heat things don't have air conditioning. Here in Texas, we all have air conditioning. Like it's a given. So I'm very sorry for you having to deal with that without AC. Hi, Anaria. Let's see, I finally set up an afternoon to work on some colored pencil and join the live. Really looking forward to today. Thank you for being my friends for the afternoon. Yay, I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's see. What do I want to start with? Let's start pulling in some greens. I'm already going to scooch this over after I just moved it, since I'm only going to worry about the shell for now. We'll just start getting some of these streaky colors in there. Nothing needs to be perfect or even close to perfect or even close to decent. I'm just going to start layering those colors in there, and we'll just keep layering until it looks good. And the cool thing when you're working on the sanded paper, you really don't hit, or I've never hit a point when working with polychromos anyway. If you're working with wax base, it's gonna be a bit different. But I've never really hit a point where I couldn't get more layers, which is nice. So you just like painting, we're gonna layer, or painting with like acrylics or oil, just layer until it starts looking good. I want to follow the general direction of the shell, but it really doesn't need to be exact. Is someone growling over there? You're really upset about those beds touching. Do I need to move them? You're going to be such a drama queen. Hold on 1 second. We're having some dramas. Come here, Wayne. You have to get up so I can scooch you, because somebody's got issues. Scooch over, bad cow. Hold on. Oh, you want that one? You lay that one. Okay, you pick your bed. Well, there you go. You just lost a good one. Lay down. Gibson, down. Now they're not overlapping. We'll see if he's any better. Yeah, now he puts his head down. That was the issue. Sighthounds or greyhounds, I think all sighthounds are like this, are such drama queens. The bed was overlapping his and he didn't like it. And so he was growling. He doesn't want Wade that close to his bed. And he loves Wade. He's just being a drama queen. My God, dog. Pick said, how many layers of colored pencil do you put down before you reach for the OMS? If I'm working on a hot press watercolor paper, you're looking at about 3 to 5 layers, depending on the type of pencil and how heavy handed you are with applying it. But usually for me, it's about 3 to 5 layers, blend with OMS, another 3 to 5 layers, blend with OMS. That's kind of my general number. Let's see. George Pencil Art said, I'm here watching, starting the colors on my project. Olive green yellowish is one of my go-to pencils, but I hear you on the color choice. Okay. Oh, Nick, no. He said if I need to cool off, I close my eyes and think of January. We're not talking about January. After the weather that we had this last with the February drama and losing power, God, I don't even want to think about winter ever again. Like I need to move somewhere that has no winter. Well, I guess that was California and I left there, but my gosh, not a fan. Like it's so bad every year. I dread all year round. I dread winter. Like, and it's Texas. It's not that cold. It's ugly and brown, and I hate the winter here. I hate the cold too, but man, like seriously, I think I don't enjoy summer as much as I should because I'm like, winter's not that far away. Ziga said, hi Lisa, really love this painting. I have an idea. Matt should decide and choose the next lesson. I hope you're all doing well. Stay amazing. Loads of love to all the critters. He would just choose a comic book character and I don't really do that. So I already know what he would choose. So paint Silver Surfer. It's his favorite. I think I'm going to do, let me know if you guys have any requests. I'm going to start, I've got to finish this Aquashella project tonight and tomorrow. Will probably take me to get it done. And then I'm going to Sunday. That only leaves me Sunday to get it done, so it can't be anything too elaborate. So maybe it's just tonight I need to push forward and get that Aquashella one done because I need to start the charcoal one for next week's Patreon lesson. Or Patreon and subscribe star. Dear God, I cannot talk. Let me know what furry animal something I've not done before. Well, no, I guess something I've not done before in charcoal. We'll go that route. But some kind of furry animal. It's going to be black and white on charcoal on my gray paper like usual, or it could be on black paper. But let me know what I want. Furry, I know that, but I want to get some more charcoal lessons over there. That seems to be one of the more popular lessons right now. I'm seeing more people follow along with that or share photos they've done. And I think the reason, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I suspect the reason that we've got a lot of people wanting to try the charcoal is one, super inexpensive medium, like the cheapest medium you can do with art, I think, is probably charcoal. And maybe graphite, but I'm going to lean towards charcoal. Plus, it's easy. So I think it's something that people feel like, I can do this. It's just such a good medium for learning, like fur texture, getting the hang of that, because the medium itself, the techniques you use are very, very easy. So all you're really having to focus on, not so much the technique of the pencil, but how you shape the fur, how you shape the clumps and clusters of fur. So anyway, I think that's why. If you guys have done one of my charcoal lessons recently, let me know why you chose to do the charcoal versus one of the other mediums. I'm curious. Sarah Makes Art said, if you don't mind rain, you could move to Florida. I understand winter here the temperature drops below 80 for a couple of weeks. You know, I've been to Florida once and I love humidity. Loved it. My problem is I have a horrible allergy to mold. Like, I got a fungal heart infection a few years ago, almost died. Like, it was bad. And by a few years ago, it was actually a long time ago. But I'm really sensitive to mold now, and I'm afraid with how much humidity that might be an issue there. Also, all the hurricanes wiping out houses scare me. But I really do like, there's a lot about Florida that because that was one of the states I was originally like, if I left California, I was really interested in Florida because I like their weather a lot. And I'm not sure if the humidity and my mold issues would be a thing. I don't think I've had too big of issues with mold lately, though. It was bad. Like, for the first few years after that, I was so sensitive. Like, if there was any, like, it's non-harmful mold. It was black mold that caused the problem. But even if it was, like, just normal mold that would grow in a plant, I would have breakout and headaches. I don't think that's how that's worded. I would get the worst, like, horrible headaches. It was so miserable. So, yeah, that was kind of my, maybe Florida wouldn't be my right choice. Be my right choice. My God, see, I'm telling you, it is a fibro day. Like, brain fog is a real thing, and the tired, oh my gosh. Please do a guinea pig, Natalie Bug said. I will have to, you know what, let me write down some of these suggestions. Let me reach for this. Guinea pig's a suggestion. If I don't do it this week, I'm sure I will soon. Was it yours with the hat? I don't always recognize people's usernames and then their real names, but someone, let me know if it was you, posted the cutest in our art group, guinea pig wearing a hat, and it was probably one of the cutest things I've seen forever. Maybe a panda? Possibly. I think I have some panda photos too. I'm writing these suggestions down. Let's see. Ziga said, what about a sloth? They're so weird and cute. I don't think I have some photos that I took, but I don't think I've ever drawn one. So we'll write that down. Charcoal kangaroo or koala. I love when you guys give me suggestions, because even if I don't use them this week, I will refer back to this when I'm like, what should I do? I can pull these up. I have some suggestions patrons have left too lately, so I love your suggestions. 2610 said, I use charcoal for shading. It saves a lot of time. Yes, it does. Natalie said, recently did the squash tutorial in charcoal. Wanted a nice quick project to value study. Oh, the pumpkin. I'm like, a squash? Pumpkin is a squash. See, I'm telling you, I am not all here. But a quick study for our value study. Yeah, and so that's the thing that's so cool with charcoal too. I think it really helps you to perfect and master your values to get a really good, you know what, I better blend that before I start in with the pink or I'm going to make a muddy mess. It's so good for getting your values and really getting a good understanding of that, so that when you then go to color, it's not, it makes it easier, I think. Pat said, I did the charcoal leopard as I had lots of unused charcoal supplies. I'm an art hoarder. Right there with you. Let's see. Susan said, oops, that just jumped. Sorry. 1 second. The annual art supply sale at Delta Art Supplies in Edmonton starts the 19th online. They usually have great prices, so their sale is pretty good. Just information. That is good information. Delta Art, they're up in Canada, right? That is very good information. Natalie Bug said, yes, it was me with her hat. I have a few more pictures to add to the comments, so I'll be sure to post them for inspiration too. God, and that hat on that guinea pig, she's one with the crazy hair. She's gorgeous. And then her fancy hat. And I'm just like, she just makes me think of a little old lady going to brunch after church. Like, that's what, when I see that picture, that's what I think. Like, she's just so cute. Let's see. So if you've not seen her, she's been posted. I don't know if she's over on our Facebook group, because I don't really go over there much now, but our MeWe group, that guinea pig was posted, and it is so cute. You definitely want to check her out. Jacqueline said 3 to 4 layers with OMS, but how many with the powder, please? The powder completely depends, because it depends on if I'm using light or dark colors. And basically for me with the powder, when it starts getting to where I go to blend it and more of the pencil comes off the page instead of blending what's there, I know I need to spray it. That's like so it's a little bit of a different rule for me. When too much pencil's falling off, that's when it's time to spray. And that doesn't necessarily, it's not a numbers layer thing for me then. Hi, Christine. Said, hi everyone, for your charcoal drawing, what about drawing a raccoon? I don't know if I have any good photos of them, but I like raccoons. Trash pandas. add that to the list. Okay, let's see. I'll use some little blending tools for this. Let's see, white tiger or snow leopard. So white tiger is an interesting thing. You will never see me draw a white tiger. I mean, I guess in black and white it would look like a white tiger, but the reason for that is white tigers are not found in nature. It's something that people inbreed the crap out of. So it's almost like what we do with dogs, and I'm not opposed to that with dogs, because you can have a dog that's a little bit not there, kind of derpy because it's been inbred so much, but he still makes a great pet. Not so much with tigers. So with the tigers, to get them to be white, we inbreed them. That's one of the reasons they tend to be more docile. They're mentally incapacitated. I don't know what the PC way to word that is, but they are not all there in the head. And they are all cross-eyed. Even if you were to breed them and you get some orange ones out of the litter, depending on, the lineage and did you breed a white to an orange, the orange ones will all be cross-eyed. These are not tigers that can be used in our breeding programs. Tigers are big. Tigers take a lot of space. The only people I think who should have tigers in captivity are going to be your bigger accredited zoos who know what they're doing with them, not people keeping them as pets. They eat their people. They're not for pets. What was it? Siegfried and Roy could attest to that. But they are not, they should not be kept in people's homes. So why then would we be breeding tigers that should not be a part of our breeding stock? They shouldn't be a part of the breeding program. They're mentally retarded. They're cross-eyed. They have a lot of genetic disorders because it had to inbreed to get that. And it's funny because it's like with my clownfish. Clownfish are inbred to get the designer clowns or the color morphs is what they really are. I'm okay with that. It's a clownfish. People have room for those in their homes. Tigers do not. We shouldn't be breeding what can't inevitably be a part of the breeding program in an accredited zoo with people who know what they're doing. So that I will not contribute to that. And a lot of people just don't realize that they make it sound like, oh, you'll see pictures that people paint, they're out in the wild. Yeah, no, not a white tiger is not from the wild. That's not a thing. So no, you will never see me promote or draw. And I feel like if I draw, that is kind of what you're doing. They're beautiful, but they shouldn't exist. And I don't say that about I do say that about a lot of things. That's not true. I'm lying. I say that about a lot of things. Flexi leads should not exist, but they really shouldn't. Tigers take up too much, and we should be keeping the best of our breeding stock to keep them going. We've got, there's so many problems with their environment in nature. Like, they don't have a lot of room left in the wild, and let's not be taking the ones that we're keeping in captivity. Let's keep the best of the best and breed that instead of breeding what should never have been bred in the first place. And the thing that really makes me mad about the white tigers, they are solely bred they're not bred to better the gene pool or to create, they're bred for the sole purpose of human enjoyment. And I'm not opposed to accredited zoos either. I think that they do a lot for conserving different animals and learning about them and being able to help them more in the wild. So don't get me wrong, I'm not a PETA freak. Actually, I hate PETA, very opposed to them. However, white tigers they just shouldn't exist. They were bred for these little, they're as kittens or cubs, they can be pet and people go and play with them and they all pose and take photos. As adults, they generally get put to sleep if they live to adult. There's so much wrong with that industry because they're not, it's bad. The zoo, the Fort Worth Zoo has a white tiger and he's beautiful. And so it's like, yay, great that tiger has a home to live out its life. However, he's taking the place of where a healthy tiger that should be a part of the breeding program should be. So while a part of me is like, well, I'm glad that they gave him a home, the other part of me is like, he shouldn't be taking that spot. He shouldn't have been bred in the first place. That is not a cool thing that we're doing there. So anyway, there's my rant and why you will never see me draw a white tiger. People just don't know that. But snow leopard, now that I like. And actually I just did a leopard, which almost looks like a snow leopard because it was in black and white, but they would have longer fur. I do love snow leopards. I haven't painted one in a really long time. Let's add that to my list after my rant. Yeah, a lot of people think that the white tiger, it's like a snow tiger. No, it's not. That's not what that is. That is human greed to a ridiculous extent. Human greed with clownfish? No problem. There's plenty of room for them in our tanks. Tiger? Not so much. They eat people. Let's see. Hobby Artist said, hi Lisa, what do you think is the best way to add opaque white highlights when working with watercolor pencils? What would be the most portable? White gouache, probably. I would say white gouache would most likely be the easy. I'm not sure portable wise because I don't really travel with my work, so it's not something I've really considered. But with white opaque highlights, white gouache, and they do have opaque like white. I probably have some down here. This was another one that was bleed proof white, Dr. Martin's. This was, I haven't used it yet, but this was a product that was recommended to me, so I picked that up. I have not used it. It looks like it's like really thick. Is it dried out in there? Do you add water? I don't know. I haven't even played with this. It's like, that is solid. But anyway, that is a product a lot of you guys had recommended, so I'd imagine that would work well. But white gouache is kind of the typical go-to. Gouache is watercolor, just opaque. It's the same thing, just opaque. Let's see. Oh, but watercolor pencils. Opaque white highlights. You might want to go with a colored pencil. I didn't read the pencil part. I'm not paying attention. A white, like a Caran d'Ache Luminance pencil, or a Derwent Drawing Chinese white, maybe a Derwent Lightfast. One of those might be a really good, convenient way for your white highlights. The thing is, that's going to be your final layer. Don't put that and then expect watercolor to stick on top, because then you're putting a water-based product on top of oil, which oil and wax, not going to work. It's not going to stick. But for like final layers, that would be an option too. Let's see. Whoop, that just jumped. I hate that does that. Where were we? I apologize if I miss anybody. Let's see. Parenji, I just butchered your name horribly. I'm sorry. Said, if somebody says he's influenced by your art, will he forget your art? I hope it's not a weird question. I don't know if he'd forget it. I mean, I can't say. I forget my own name half the time, so I think it would depend on the person. If they say they're influenced by your art, I'm really not sure how to answer that. I'm not sure. I think I need more information on that question. My brain's not quite picking up on like what the question is. I'm not sure if they would forget it. It would depend on the person. Nellybug said, if anybody is interested, there's some more piggy pics in the comments of the post. Anybody is welcome to use them as reference. Thank you. Awesome. Yay. Because, oh my God, cute. You have to go check those out. That's over at our MeWe group. I know for sure. Link is in the description. Dee said, wow, this has come along a lot since I last joined the live stream. Loving the frog on the moon. Thank you. Life with Casey said, since you don't support white tigers, would you refuse to go to a zoo or aquarium that has one? No, because, I mean, like I said, I go to the Fort Worth Zoo. I know he's well taken care of. I just don't think he should be. See, the thing with the Fort Worth Zoo, I know that they didn't like go out to get a white tiger for an attraction purpose. I think that they were one of those, like the white tiger needed a home and they're like, well, we've got the space. I haven't talked to them, but I mean, that's more along the lines of what the Fort Worth Zoo is not like let's say, what was it? The Dallas North Aquarium, what is it called? The aquarium in Dallas, I don't know. They're a private group. And if they had a white tiger, I'd have an issue with that because they're not breeding, they're not working for conservation reasons in most cases. Maybe they are with some other animals, but I know they're not with tigers. So that would be a bit of an issue. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize that these zoos are very heavily involved with, they will trade animals from one zoo or loan them from one to another for breeding purposes. Knowing the lineage and who should be bred and who shouldn't be bred. This one has certain defects. We don't want that in the breeding. You know, there's certain things that are done by responsible zoos, and it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. But when they get an animal for the sole purpose of an attraction, I would have an issue with that. But I don't think that's the case with the zoo. While I don't, part of me says, yay, he had a home. He's well taken care of. He's going to have an amazing life there. The other part of me is like, oh, but that, like the logical part, the not emotional part says that spot should be taken by a tiger that's going to be used in a breeding program. So, you know, I go back and forth on my feelings on that, but let's see. But like, I've gotten great photos of that tiger just because I was standing there. I won't post them on Patreon and I won't share them. I just won't. My husband's like, but he's right, because he usually is up closer so I can get better photos of him. Not doing it. Skylar said, this is kind of random, but since you know a lot about dogs, my friend said that the xylitol in artificial sugar is toxic to dogs. Is this still true? Horribly so. Dear God, keep that stuff away from your dogs. I've known of dogs who died from it. Like in small doses, it is horribly tough. Like I would worry more about that than Baker's like dark chocolate, which is the worst of the worst for them. But the xylitol, holy crap, it is absolutely so toxic to all animals. Question us eating it ourselves sometimes. But yeah, no. Do not let dogs, keep that away from dogs. Sheena said, how do you paint realistic sparkles, i.e. the sparkles that come out of Cinderella's godmother's wand? I tried it and it just looked like confetti. It's bad. I want to rip it up. I'd have to see yours specifically, but usually the way that you make something sparkle, it's the contrast. So what is behind it, super, super dark, and then the brightest sparkle, straight white. But it's that really dark up against the really white. That's what gives you that sparkle, that high contrast. And that's going to be the same thing. Let's say you're painting something metallic and you want it to look like it has that that shine to it. It's where you'd have, let's say it was gold, metal gold surface. The gold is you'll have the gold, you'll have actual white on that, and you'll have almost black, like a plum black, dark, right next to that gold. And really look at that when you start paying attention to things, the contrast between the lights and the darks. It's not just random lines all over. Like you're going to have a harder time making something look really sparkly against a light background. It's going to be easier against the dark background. So like here with the stars, so super light up against fairly dark. I don't know how helpful that is. Oh, Joseph said the U.S. Association of Zoos and Aquariums has officially banned the breeding of white tigers, which is good. When did they ban that? Because part of me wants to be critical, like why wasn't that banned forever ago? Like as soon as the practice started. It should have never. I don't know. See, I go back to my complaints. People don't think things through. Like where did they think that was going to end when they first started breeding it? But it's usually it's more common practice outside of the U.S., where people go on vacations to different locations. Yeah, I guess that was right. That was weird. And they get to go take a photo with an elephant, and then they get to go take a photo with the baby white tiger. And it's, look into the practices. It's horrible what those animals like. They typically don't live past their juvenile stage because they start getting aggressive. Banned in 2011, but I'm still like, why did these zoos not ban it before that? Like, I just do not understand why it was allowed to go on as long as it was. And again, I'm not a PETA person. I like what zoos do. I think they do a lot to help animals. That one, no. What's your thoughts on breeding lions and tigers? You mean when they're breeding them together? That should never happen either. Like it's the same concept as the white tiger, if that's what you mean, the breeding them together. That should never, ever, ever happen. You're not just creating a new breed. How the heck is that pigeon or dove on the little bird feeder? Like it's a type of feeder that's just for the little birds, and somehow he's got his fat butt. He's having a hard time staying on that, but he's managing. Anyway, no, and I believe is it that when they breed the lions and tigers, they continuously grow. Like there's something wrong where their body doesn't ever tell it, hey, it's time to stop growing. They'll just grow until they die. And that's in not a good way. They have very short lifespans. It should not, it's just so irresponsible, some of the stuff people do. And you're not going to see this in a good zoo. Like a good zoo will not be doing that sort of crap. So I don't like there's a place I went to, and I haven't looked that much into it. I know they had a bear, but they actually had a pretty good setup for them. But I really don't like private zoos. I like when they do the sanctuaries. I get that. But part of me questions, like, did you just go buy that for an attraction? I don't know. I guess I shouldn't talk about it until I look into the individual ones. But some of them I've seen, and I'm like, this is really weird that you have that. Let's see. Cat's Art Pick said, agreed. I was angry when I found out they were breeding lions and tigers at SAT. Yeah, people will do some crazy stuff. And I don't care if they do crazy stuff and it injures only themselves, but when you start hurting others, then I get an attitude. It makes you wonder, like, who thought that was something good to do? Like, what was your end goal with that? Like, where did you think it was going to end? Soften this out a bit. Now I do want this to start being streaky, so I don't want to overblend this. What I'll probably do is spray it after this layer. Actually, maybe not spray just yet. I can get the lines in here a little bit more defined. The ligers and tigers can't reproduce, so they can only be made, and that should not be done. Just plain weird, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was at a zoo, actually Fort Worth Zoo, and Fort Worth Zoo is not, like, those animals have very good lives. I'm very impressed with how they're taken care of there. They're not in these tiny little, like, it's very, if I was an animal, I would be perfect. There and Dallas. Like I would be happy to be an animal in both locations. Like if I was some kind of wild animal and needed somewhere to live. They'll also take in injured animals. They do a lot of rehab. Like the zoos do a lot more than people. People think that they're just, put on display. And it's like, no, us paying to get in funds the care of these animals and others and conservation efforts. And like, it's really cool what's done. But it was funny. You stand there. I remember listening, what was it there? He was a leopard. No, that was a jaguar. We're watching him. He's got a really cool setup. He's playing in the water and doing all kinds of stuff. These people come, oh, it's so sad. I can't believe they keep them in captivity. I'm like, why are you? I didn't say anything, but you just wonder, like, why did you come to the zoo? You're just going from enclosure to enclosure and feeling sad. And because you don't, I get if you, from the outside, if you don't understand what the zoos do and how much is involved in this and what all they do to help animals and fine, but it was just like, why are you even here? Sheena asked, how do you paint realistic sparkles, i.e. this? Okay, we got that one already. Yeah, sort of answered. I mean, I don't know how to just, there's not like a mix this and then that. The big thing I can give you is just contrast. And then the sparkles too, going back to that one, variation. Don't make all the sizes the same, and you're going to have to where some are clumped closer together, some are a little farther out. You're going to have variation in that. What you want to do, let's say that look at I can't talk. Look at a photo or a painting that somebody else has done, and it's the style, it looks how you want, and study what it is they're doing that you are not. You want to take, let's say, the wand from Cinderella. Take a photo of that, or the painting of that, and put it next to yours and pinpoint what the difference is. And you can do this on anything that you're struggling with. Let's say you really are bad at painting animal nails. I don't know. But put yours next to that reference photo or next to a painting where somebody else has done it. What is the difference? What are you doing differently than theirs? And if you're like, well, I don't know, look harder. I don't know is not an answer. Flip them upside down. Look at them both upside down and really notice. You have to be able and start teaching yourself to pinpoint what the difference is between yours and the one you want yours to look like. What is the difference? Once you can start getting in the hang of doing that, your work will just improve so much. Christine said, Lisa, every time I hang out with you online, you inspire me. I'm painting a ram that I haven't touched in 3 weeks and I'm working on it now. Oh, yay, that is awesome. Yay. Starving Artist Collective said, I saw a documentary about white tigers. First one was albino accident, but then intentionally inbred for money and spectacle. Yeah, and that's what happens with breeds. Like, we'll go with the American Hairless Terrier. I was very involved with the breeder, Jessie's breeder, my Italian Greyhound. Actually, Jessie was her last Italian Greyhound litter. She started getting more into hairless breeds. She was older and she couldn't handle like the longer breeds and the brushing, and not that IGs did, but she used to have Chinese crested too. So she ended up getting into AHTs, American Hairless Terriers. And the way that breed started was there was a random puppy born and he was bald. So they bred it back to the mother. And so it takes inbreeding to solidify that. And then they start outsourcing to other. He was just a rat terrier. That's all he was, is a bald rat terrier. And so they bred it back to the mother to like solidify that defect. But now you've got this breed of dogs, so people who are allergic to dogs could have a dog that has no hair. So, there's a reason for it. And they make great pets. They're hilarious. I like hair on my dogs, but they are hilarious. Like they've got such personality. They're a rat terrier that's bald. That's all it is. and they serve a purpose. I mean, somebody who really wants a dog but can't have them because of allergies, here's your dog. Have fun getting it sweaters because he's going to need one. But, you know, that is pretty typical. But like to do that with these bigger animals, like, I don't know. I think there's a responsibility. They take up so much space. It's not like you can have one in people's backyards safely. I mean, I don't know people do it, but you shouldn't. Let's see. Allie said, do Fredericks make the float canvases anymore? I don't think they do. I think they cleared them out because I know they contacted me knowing I liked them. I've got a bunch of them here that you'll see me paint on, but no. But they basically replaced those, from what I understand, with the Convexo canvas would be your alternative now. Would their Convexo canvas be a better alternative? Yes. I tried the Convexo canvas, but it's hard to get detail. How do you get the canvas smooth? So I use, do I have one over here? I use, I don't, do I? Like one of those little sponge, here it is. I apply gesso. I don't have that over here. I use Liquitex gesso. I will apply one layer. I use these sponge brush things. I apply one layer, let it dry, another layer, let it dry, 2 to 3 layers. And then I sand it with a 220 to 320, 230, 330. I don't know what the numbers are. It's in that range. It doesn't make a difference if you're in the 200s or the 300s. Any of those will work. Take sandpaper, lightly sand it until it's smooth. Now you can get your detail. But the float canvas is the same thing. They needed that too. Rhonda said, I know you've answered this before, but what other paper can you use with the powder blender? How much tooth does the paper need to have? It's not a matter of tooth. It's a matter of it being absorbent. You need a non-absorbent surface. So sanded paper, gessoed paper, that is it. You can use an airbrush if you've got an airbrush and gesso. Thin out your gesso with water, put several coats of gesso on like a hot press watercolor paper, and that will work. But it's not an issue of having enough tooth. It's an issue of being absorbent or not. And so those are your options, either gesso paper yourself, and that I don't mean canvas that's gessoed. It's not the same, not gonna work. So either gesso paper yourself, which is honestly more work than it's worth, or sanded paper. That is it. And you will occasionally have someone go, no, I used it on pastel mat, it worked great. No, it didn't. You don't know how it's supposed to work if you think that looked good. That's not, will it blend? Kinda, not really. Sanded paper, gessoed paper, that is it. There are, anytime you read online, someone's like, well, I tried it on this and it worked. No, it didn't. It didn't work. That's not how it's intended. Like, I've made this example before. It's like, my car doesn't run, but we pushed it from my house to the grocery store, therefore it still works. That's not how cars are intended to work. Like, that doesn't mean it worked. It got there, but it didn't work as intended. So yeah, those are it. And I just say that because I see that all the time online. And the reason that I'm like passionate and annoyed about people saying that is that if somebody is like, okay, I'm going to try powder blender. Somebody told me pastel mat would work, or somebody told me that whatever would work. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. And then they're like, wow, this is terrible. This doesn't look good. It's not a problem with powder blender. It's a problem with somebody giving poor advice online. Let's see. Brandy said, what do you tape your paper down to do colored pencil? do I have one over here? I think I do. I use a pH neutral masking tape. So it's an acid-free masking tape. You want to, ideally, whenever you're taping your work down, use something that's pH neutral, because when you take this off, it's going to leave residue. And you can't see where I'm pointing, but it'll leave residue on the paper. And over the years, that can start to yellow the work. So if you use regular masking tape, and I mean, there's times where I need something that's going to stick better because I'm going to use so much airbrush paint. I need to cut that area out, like cut it off so that there's no, nothing that the tape had touched sticks. But the pH neutral, that is going to be ideal. You can get this on Amazon. I think I've gotten it from Jerry's. You can see on that side it says pH neutral in there, but that is what I use. D said, always wondered how the Chinese crested came about. Now I know, no, Chinese crested is not. That was the American hairless terrier. Chinese crested, I'm not sure how those ones came about. That I don't, I've shown them, but I don't know the history of them. Let's see. Natalie said, I always thought they were Sholo offshoots. Yeah, they're not related to Sholos at all. Sholo is squintlies. Yep, I know. My breeder, she was very into hairless dogs, but yeah, nope, not related even a little bit. And oh God, I will say, so as much as I like hair on my dogs, an American hairless terrier puppy, it's this ball of wrinkles. I mean, it grows out of those wrinkles, but oh dear God, are they cute. Let's see. Okay, back to work. Pay attention, Lisa. You have a job. think that's going to be light enough. I think I need, let's go with a cream. Hobby Artist said, inbreeding dogs who are bald to solidify the trait is cruelty, in my opinion. Well, how so? All breeds are inbred. I mean, that's how we went from getting a wolf down to any breed in the world you like. They are all inbred, and it doesn't hurt them. So, I mean, that's what breeding dog, that's how every single breed in the history of breeds came to be, was from inbreeding. You solidify certain traits that way. Now, on the flip side, there are people who take it too far. Absolutely. I think that there are people who cross the line where the dogs are so inbred that they start having a lot of health problems. It doesn't need to be that way. But a lot of breeders get to where they're just like, I'm sticking with my own lines and I'm going to breed on top of breed on top of breed off this line. And they start having major health issues, whether it be cancer or different things. So that's an issue. But the actual inbreeding of dogs, that's how every single breed in the history of breeds, if you like dogs, that's how we got from wolves to dogs. Like, that is how that happens. So no, I don't think it's cruel at all. Those dogs live, trust me, they live amazing and spoiled lives. I think every single AHT I've known was the most spoiled dog, and they have more clothes than I do, which is saying something. So yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that if it's done responsibly. And that's going to be the thing. You know, there is a point where somebody crosses that line. Like with AHT, I watched the work done in the lineage of these dogs and making sure that they actually kept in the breed. They were allowed. So they created the AHTs, the American Hairless Terrier, which were rat terriers. That's all it is a hairless rat terrier. They were allowed to breed in more rat terriers to diversify the gene pool, so that you didn't get a bunch of dogs with a bunch of health problems. They did so. It was very impressive watching the development of this breed, and because it's a fairly new breed, watching the development and how they worked to make sure they solidified that they were hairless, but that they also weren't all so inbred to where, like I said, to where you get these health problems. They're actually a very healthy breed. I've not known many that had many health issues. So, because it was done right. But I think the bigger thing is understanding that. And on the surface, yeah, the idea of inbreeding, that sounds terrible. It's not, if done correctly. But of course, like anything else, people can cross that line and go too far and start creating massive health issues for the dogs. I understand that it benefits people who are allergic to dog hair, but it's not natural for dogs not to have hair. Trust me when I say that dog gives no craps. It's also not natural for a dog to have floppy ears if you want to go that route. It's not natural for a dog to have a more flat face. It's not natural. And nothing that we have in these dogs are natural. Nothing. So that argument doesn't really hold any water. They're all of them were kind of formed by what purpose they, for greyhounds, they hunted, they needed to run very fast. They've got a deep chest. That chest is not natural. So it's kind of weird to pick one trait over the other. Now, where I will start to have an issue is when we breed to a point where the dog can't breathe well. So we've got certain breeds where they bred to where the nose is so flat, the dog can't breathe without surgery. That's a problem. That's where I'm talking about where we've crossed the line. German Shepherds, they all have hip dysplasia. Every single, it's a breed I love and will never own because I worked at the animal hospital. I've never seen one that didn't have hip dysplasia by 3 years old. So, I mean, it's that common. That's a problem. We bred them to, they took it too far. So there are issues, but every single trait any domesticated dog has isn't natural. Yeah, Natalie said line breeding isn't inherently a bad thing as long as the genetics are diversified sufficiently. Exactly. I am using I'm using Faber-Castell Polychromos. Brandy said, love the colors in this piece. Thank you. Paul is here and late. Unacceptable. Nick said, line breeding on established breeds today is mostly to reinforce, develop new popular physical traits that is not necessarily true to establish a breed standard, in my opinion. Yeah, at this point, I'm with you on that. It is rare that, like, let's say a greyhound, to line breed on a greyhound would not make a lot of sense. Like, it's unnecessary. So no, you're right. It's more when you're starting a certain thing. But yeah, when they keep line breeding that, I mean, that's how you got a lot of the health problems we have today in certain dogs is because they overdid the line. They pushed it too far. They kept going where they should have stopped. Is this the same with with white tigers. Oh gosh, yeah, we just had that conversation, Paul. That's actually what started this whole conversation was the white tigers. No, oh yeah, there we go. Someone is growling in their sleep. I think it's Gibson. He's probably dreaming that Wade's bed is still touching him and it's upsetting him. Such a drama queen. Yeah, like complaining about dogs that don't have hair, that being an issue because it's not natural. I mean, the same thing could be said too. We can run with this argument, but the same like huskies who live in Texas. That doesn't seem right. Like, you know, you got. We all have to make our choices, but can it be done? Yeah, but some people would argue that's not right. That fur coat or that dense coat, not supernatural for a dog in Texas. We have coyotes here. They don't have such a heavy coat. Yeah, when I was younger, I used to have I think that's typical of most people when they're younger. You have that very black and white view of the world on this is always wrong, this is always right. But when you get older and you start learning more about whatever element it is, like you start getting more educated, you realize there's a lot of gray areas where things aren't all bad or all good. There's just a lot on both sides. Natalie said, you don't really see much line breeding with grays. I think the closest I've seen is 4 generations. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention. Gibson's tongue's hanging out and on the carpet. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the genetics on these guys. So most of the where I'm paying attention to like the genetic makeup or the lineage of a lot of the breeds were the breeds from showing them, but you didn't see a lot of greyhounds in the show ring. So like I saw more with Italian greyhounds, paying attention to the lineage there. Italian greyhounds and then of course AHTs and Chinese cresteds. Let's get some more green in there now. I thought I was going to have to spray that with the powder blender, but I'm really not yet. Let's see. Hobby Artist said, let's agree to disagree on hairless dogs. We could go on forever with this. I appreciate these live streams and the info you share with us. Well, and I have to ask then, do you have a problem with dogs that are small? Do you have a problem with like Chihuahuas? I mean, okay, maybe. But any single breed trait somebody's going to say the same thing about. They're all different. I mean, like my Italian greyhounds. Echo's fur was so short, she was nearly bald. We have to put sweaters on them. Like, people who get those breeds know, like, if you're thinking, well, it's mean because they don't have hair and they're going to get cold, we put sweaters on them. They have pajamas made specifically for American Hairless Terriers and specifically for Italian Greyhounds that fit their body type. So, you know, the people who get them have ways that the dogs, don't trust me when I say, because I've been around those dogs. Those are the happiest critters you have ever seen. You put a dog, God, so we used to do the same with my Italian Greyhounds. My mom had a Yorkie. She had long hair. She didn't need her sweaters. Didn't matter. You put a sweater on one of those dogs and they lost their mind, so excited and so happy. I would hold up a dress. So I was always big on, don't put dresses and clothes on dogs. Like, I'm not doing that. Well, then I got Jessie, and Jessie was so cold. She was a tiny little baby, so I had to start putting sweaters on her. Then it turned out that it was kind of a security blanket for her. She loved wearing dress. Like, you put anything on her, any kind of clothing. So I'm like, well, I guess it's hot. I don't want a sweater on you. We'll get this little dog dress. I had some of the cutest dresses for this dog. And you put a dress on her, her personality just changed. She was instantly the happiest. Like, she was so proud of herself prancing around in that dress. She was the happiest dog you have ever seen. I think the pressure on her chest probably worked like almost like a thunder shirt type thing. But oh man, that dog, if I could have shown her wearing a dress, we would have won a lot more because she behaved so much better. She was just happy. She was confident and happy in those dresses. But people who get those dogs, they know you're going to have to make them comfortable in certain weather. Well, and Jessie didn't care though. She didn't care if it was summer. She didn't care whatever. She wanted to wear that dress. She wants her clothes. You would just hold it up and she would come and shove her head through. Like, put it on, put it the rest of the way on. It was so funny. And I was the biggest like, don't put clothes on dogs. That looks ridiculous. Well, the dog had other ideas. She wanted the clothes. Let's see. Natalie said, only notice when I'm like, I wonder if X is related to Jay or Bella. Oh no, closest relative is a great-great-grandsire. Yeah, I don't have theirs. I tried to look it up and they didn't come up because they never actually raced. So the only thing I know is that they both came from the same breeder. I was shocked when I found that out because I was certain they would have been different breeders. It's completely different coat type, completely like Wade does not have good patellas. Wade's got some like, he's a nervous wreck. Like it took a little bit for him to get used to stuff. And so I thought like he would have been raised in a different environment. No, they were raised together. That was just a genetic thing. So I doubt they're super closely related, but Gibson's feet are twitching in his sleep. But I tried to look up to see if I could find anyone like in the Greyhound groups that they were related to. There was no information. Angie said, I dress up my Maltese a lot of the time. Yeah, it seems like the little ones really want their clothes. The big guys, they really don't care. I have jackets for them. I think Gibson would prefer not to wear his jacket when we go on walks, but it's like, sometimes it's like, it's too cold. You have to wear a jacket today. But the little dogs seem to be more excited about wearing clothes. Okay, I'm going to leave this. And Randy said one of my dogs loves clothes. It's so funny. Some love them. Now, Echo, my other Italian Greyhound, the one that had less fur, like she was nearly bald, I would put a sweater on because it was cold and she's sitting there shivering. She didn't want to wear them though. She wanted it off. Like you take it off and that's when she got excited. She'd go and roll around on her back like it was making her itchy. Echo did not like to wear clothes. Jessie did. Nick said, my dog insists on fleecy hoodies from October until April. Will drive me nuts until he has one on. That's so funny. So I'm going to start blocking in this section here now. And I'll still do more on that once we spray it, but yeah, it's funny. I think that I'm over here sticking up for the hairless breeds. I don't like them. I don't want one. I would not choose to get one. They're cute, and I love that there are people now who can have dogs that couldn't before, because no one should miss out on having a dog. That's like highlight of my life. But they're not for it. So it's kind of funny that I'm over here like, no, they should exist. I wouldn't want one. Let's see. Where were we? Paul said, who's chewing? Wait, stop. Wait, no chewing on feet. Paul said, no single number applies to humans across the board when it comes to drinking 8 glasses of water. There are common myths we thought were facts. Okay, I know you're going somewhere with that. I'm just not connecting off the top of my head where it is. Oh, maybe the gray, talking about like where things are more gray. I used to think it was like, yeah, okay, never mind. I caught up to where that came from. Yes. I'm telling you, I'm having the worst fibro fog. I want to go to sleep day. The coffee seems to be, helping a bit. Dee said, my sister had a Jack Russell and my niece used to put dresses on it and push her around in a doll's pushchair. I had a Himalayan cat. So when I was 4, technically it was supposed to be for my mom, but the cat decided that she loved me. And this cat, I used to, because I was a kid, I'd do the same thing with the cat. I'd put her in a stroller with doll clothes on. She did not care. She just wanted to be with me. She was like, sure, let's do that now. This is what's happening now. That cat was so cool. It's funny because growing up, I always thought I was a cat person more than a dog person because of that specific cat. Turned out, no, I was just that specific cat person. I got another Himalayan. She lived to be 16, which for a Himalayan is really old. She was such an amazing cat. So I got another Himalayan. Yeah, not the same. The other Himalayan I got was more on the evil side of things. She had kidney problems from a very young age. And so I suspect in her case that maybe maybe she was uncomfortable. I don't know. But that cat, she had an attitude. Let's see. That was my last cat. Sarah Art said, I imagine a dog that's bred to be hairless can handle it better than, say, if you took a furry dog and shaved it all its fur. Oh, absolutely. In the latter case, the dog would probably be shocked. I mean, they can deal with it. Like, my neighbor has a lab poodle, a cocker poodle, and a golden poodle. The golden poodle and the cocker poodle mixes, those get shaved down mostly in the summer, and they don't really care that much. But yeah, no, I mean, an AHT, that's just life for them. That's all they've ever known. They don't care. They've known that, and they've known funny clothes. But seriously, I don't know what it is about AHTs. I think they were some of the AHTs. I would say the same thing about Italian Greyhounds. Some of the most spoiled dogs I have ever been around. more of that. Start switching direction here, or I'm going to make them all the same. It's not that I necessarily need these specific lines. I just need to map out where what I'm doing starts switching directions, or I'm gonna have a hot mess to fix. There we go. So these little lines that I did, now I know I need to follow that shape. Hobby Artist said, I can imagine how cute your Greyhound Jessie would have looked. Oh, she was so adorable. God, that dog was cute. Gotta admit, there are ways to make those breeds comfortable. You've convinced me, and I was like, oh no, don't be sorry. This is a great debate. This is a good thing to have a conversation about. Like these are my favorite conversations. I miss the days, and don't worry, I'm not going to get into political stuff, but I miss the days when you used to be able to have political debates with your friends who didn't believe the same things you did. There were times, like one of my best friends, her and I, completely different side of the spectrum, like what we believed politically. But we would argue, like it was a civil debate, like, well, this is why I feel this way. And I'd be like, well, this is why I feel this way. And it wasn't that you would necessarily change each other's mind, but to be able to understand where somebody else is coming from and what the other point would be. It makes you more understanding to that other point. And there are certain things I will never agree with. And the same with her, but it was interesting to hear that other side. And there are certain things that I just hadn't looked at it the way that she brought it up. And I'm like, oh, I actually kind of agree with that. I think you're right. So I miss the days where we could have discussions like this. It's okay not to agree with each other, but to have civil, like just conversations and debates. I so miss those days. And even that same friend, I can't have these debates with her now because so many people are a little bit too passionate, we'll say, about their view. Like, I guess it's good to be passionate, but too angry? I don't know. So yeah, I always like having that little bit of a debate, like a civil discussion. I love that. I love like looking at other points of view, considering other stuff. No, you have nothing to apologize for. And even if you just completely disagree with me, there's nothing to apologize for. It's okay to disagree. I just like having these discussions. I have to watch myself though, because I like to debate, but like civilly. And sometimes people just don't want. They're like, can you stop? Just stop. I don't care. Just stop. You know, I'm bad about it. Shayna said, hello, Lisa. What would be your perspective from a customer and business point of view when having or viewing a website for your art? I'm not sure what you're at. Like, I need more information. You absolutely should have a website for your art, without a doubt. But let me know more. What exactly, like, what do you mean? I feel like I need more information to answer that question. Like, what do you mean? Like, is there something specific you think it should include, not include? Should you have one? Absolutely, you should have one. Give me more information on that one. Sarah Makes Art said, it's not natural for humans to live in places like California or Northern Europe, for that matter. Our bodies just aren't adapted for those environments. Joseph said, my dog insists on being imaginary. As soon as I saw a dog, I'm like, you have a cat. That's not a dog, Joseph. Do you know the difference? I didn't read the whole thing. My dog insists on being imaginary from any time to any time, plus my cat just wouldn't have it. Let's see. Paul said, you still retain memories when you were 4? I remember from when I was 3, for sure. Like, without it, there are some very specific memories when I was 3. My earliest memory includes watching Scooby-Doo in theaters. Yeah, it was funny because I was just talking to my mom about this. And I would have had to have been 3 at the time, because it was before my sister was born. My mom, so I've talked about my bio dad was very abusive. He's schizophrenic, or was schizophrenic. But, I mean, I guess if he was still alive, he still would be. But anyway, moving on. He was very abusive, and she was finally going to leave him. And I remember packing, and I knew we were going to my grandmother's house. I wanted away I hated that man. He treated me horribly. And I used to watch him beat my mom. So that was, I wanted out. And so yeah, I would have been 3. I would have been like newly 3 too. Like not, and I was packing my stuff and packing my toys and putting everything in trash bags. And I remember dragging, or maybe it wasn't trash bags, I think it was pillowcases. I dragged them out to the front porch because we were going to my grandmother's house, is what I was told we were going to move into. And I just found out last week, we weren't just going there. We were actually going to be moving to Colorado with her aunt. And then my mom found out she was pregnant with my sister, and we stayed. But I was like, it kind of weird. I'm like, wow, life would have been so different to have moved to another state. And like, how odd. But anyway, yeah, no, I would have been just turned 3, and I remember very clearly that. There are a few other memories I remember from before that. But, yeah. Yeah, by 4 I remember very well, which is funny because I can't remember yesterday. I'm that old. Sally says, stumbles into live stream tripping over Joseph's feet while trying to find a seat. Oh, sorry, dude. Big smile. There's hello. That's one heck of an entrance, Sally. Let's see. Elizabeth said, have you ever finished an art piece in pencil and then by accident get it wet? Would you try to repair it after finishing it with time spent? If the paper, I've never had it happen, but if the paper dried flat, because if it gets wet, it might buckle. If it buckles, you could try ironing it. You could try wetting the whole back of the paper. It might ruin it though. I don't know what you would do at that point, but I would try going over that area, but it depends. Was it an area that needed to stay light? I don't know it would depend. There's just too many factors for me to say for sure what I would do. It would depend on how much damage was done, I think. Brandy said, I remember when I was 1. Oh, you beat me. I think 2 was my earliest. Sarah Makes Art said, but humans are able to live in so many places due to our innovations. That's one of the beauties of our intelligence. Yes, absolutely. Oh, wow. Brandy said, I remember I almost drowned when I was 2. Wow. I wonder if it's like traumatic experiences make us remember it more, like the problems with my dad. So I remember, I don't know, just random theory that just popped in my head. It may have nothing to do with that because then some of the memories I have, there was no traumatic, like anything. So I'm not sure. Okay, I kind of missed the definition there. Paul said, it's weird we'd retain certain vivid memories almost ingrained in our psyche, and when I asked my parents about some of it and told it must be a fever dream. What? Okay, let's get some smaller lines going in there. Some other color in there too. I'm going to use this green to start connecting. Actually, using green, but I'm probably going to need to switch to more magenta. Start connecting these a little bit more. Dark frogs are chirping. Sarah Makes Art said, if we're going to complain about something not being natural, maybe we shouldn't be doing things like flying in airplanes or using computers. That's a funny way. That is true. There's definitely, I think nothing we do is supernatural. What was it? God, you just started the thought of a memory from a recent conversation and then it left. Like my brain's like, nope, we're not even going to think. What? I don't remember what it was now. Talking about like weird, kind of an innovation thing, but I don't remember now. So I'm going to move on because I sound stupid enough. Shayna said, so for the art website, if you are a customer on an art website, what would you like to see or expect to see, i.e. personalized signature from the artist for prints? Okay, so like the stuff that you would sell. So as a customer, well, first I expect to see a website. If an artist does not have a website, I assume the artist isn't taking their career very seriously, and in which case I'm really not going to invest in their art because I don't think it's going to hold value. So that's me personally. If I buy art, I want it to be from an artist who's working their career up and not having a website, a big issue. Facebook, Instagram, any social media platform, they are not your website. Not your website. That's somebody else's social media platform. Like, look at Facebook now. Facebook squishes. No one sees your stuff. 3% of your viewers on average, max, 3% will ever see anything you post. So why did we work so hard to build a following when no one's going to see it? That's not your website. So yes, have your own website, but things that I would expect to see are, I want to see available prints. I don't want to see, and this is a big mistake a lot of artists make. If you've made this, go back and fix it. I don't want to have, you want as few clicks as possible. Actually, I need to redo some stuff on my website, but you want as few clicks as possible. I should not, I just threw a powder blender across the room. Luckily, I just screwed the top on. I should not have to click 3, 4, 5 different clicks to get to see what paintings you have available. It should be very easy to find. So you should have a menu, you should have like available paintings, and put everything together. So if you're like me and you work in multiple mediums, do not separate them all. They can all go together on one page. Everything you have available or whatever you're trying to sell. I don't want to have to click to see your acrylic paintings and then go back and then click a different choice to click your oil paintings and then a different one to see your animal life versus, no, put them all together. Yeah, you can separate it on one page based on oils versus acrylic, but even that's unnecessary. Most people don't care that much about the medium you're working in. Don't make the customer or the viewer, don't make them work. They don't want to work. The more things they have to click on to find the thing they're looking for, the more likely they're just going to leave your site. Make it very easy for oh God, someone's making skunk. My studio does not smell pleasant right now. I'm going to guess that's Gibson. Oh, that is unfortunate. I might die. If I fall over, I was killed by Greyhound. But, oh God, it's getting worse. Sorry. Hold on, I'm opening a window. Gibson. Oh, Lord. That is really bad, dog. We ran out of our normal treats, and I had to give him these other ones, and I know those ones cause gas. I knew it was... I'm paying for it now. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. It's nauseating. It's bad. Don't breathe deep. But anyway, you want it to be very easy for them to find what they're looking for. What are most people going to be looking for? What do you have for sale? Is it very easy for them to find that? Now, in my case, I push Patreon heavier. That's where the majority of my income is coming from. So that's kind of the first thing you're going to notice on mine, or one of the first options. But I do think I want to go ahead and start selling. So I've got so many paintings built up. I need to make some room. So I need to list some more on my website. In which case I'll probably bump that up a little bit higher. Consider what you want them to do. What actions do you want them to take? If your primary thing is selling lessons, that should be the first thing they notice on your site. If the primary thing is, what is it that you're trying to accomplish there? If it's sales, it should be the sales. Now, having a separate place for prints versus originals, that is definitely acceptable. Having another gallery of past paintings that are not for sale, but just showing your work off, that is also a good thing to do. You want an about page. You want something that tells about you. And I don't just mean like, went to such and such school, graduated, I did this art show. No, give them more. Let them know a little bit more about you. Why do you paint? What got you started in painting or drawing? What is it you're passionate about painting and drawing, and why are you passionate about that? Start thinking about the whys of that. People want the story. They don't want the recipe, the form, what I like, where you look at it and it's just listed all of your accomplishments. What? Accomplishments. My God, I need to go back to sleep. Those are things that you want to include, but make it very easy. You want to have a menu where it is very easy for them to find those things. They shouldn't have to click, here's the artwork, and then from artwork decide, do they want oils or acrylics? Do they want to see stuff for sale? Past thing. Don't separate portraits versus landscapes versus, no, just put it together. Put your best together. If you're like me and you have thousands and thousands and thousands of paintings, and I'm not kidding, I'm probably getting upwards of, I don't know, I would guess I've probably done over 5,000 at this point, probably more than that. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I do a lot of work. I'm not going to list all 5,000 paintings. Actually, every once in a while, someone will show me an old painting they bought. I'm like, wow, I forgot about that. Don't list them all. List some of your favorites. You don't need all of them on there. So that's the other thing. The average viewer, very short attention span. What are you going to do to get their attention as quickly as possible? Next tip, on your website, don't use like a yellow background. I don't care if yellow is your favorite. Make it very neutral, very soft. Something that is going to really feature the artwork. Now, I don't like solid black usually either, because it's hard for a lot of people to, it's hard for me to read. So solid black background's not my favorite. Oh God, Gibson. It's bad. Oh God, I'm glad you guys can't smell this. So anyway, the color theme, like you wouldn't want red. Red is not going to work with most of your paintings. Something soft, something grays work. You could do black because it makes the artwork look nice, but remember that is hard for a lot of people to read. White works. I don't like myself solid white backgrounds, but it's a fairly neutral, fairly safe way to go. I like gray or something, kind of cream color, something soft. Not red, not yellow, not orange. They can be accent colors on your site, but don't overdo these bold colors. You want the artwork to be what they notice more. So those would be my tips for you. Let's see. Paul said, even certain scents for me, like burnt wood, fabric softener, and cereal. Oh yeah, scent's one of the strongest memory. Like that will bring memories back more than anything else. Sarah said, my earliest memories from almost age 3. Oops, this scrolled. Paul said, and it should be mobile friendly too. Yes, absolutely. And there are a lot of, like, there are websites I use, like Josh's Frogs. That's where I get my crickets from, or plants for my vivariums and stuff. Oh my God, they do not have a mobile friendly site. It's just their website. It is so slow. Oh my God, my website is slow. Josh's Frogs is horribly so. Lori said, for small light a match and blow it out. Sulfur neutralized. Oh, for smell. I don't have any matches. I should get one. I don't normally have, he doesn't normally have gas. I knew it was going to be a problem with those treats, but oh, yeah, I need to get matches. Sarah said, does what classes or workshops I've taken really matter to buyers? No, not really. The buyers care about your story, like what makes you tick, what makes you passionate about the things that you're choosing. They don't typically care. You can list it. If you go to my website under my About section, that is about what I would do. So have your story, and then you go ahead and list your accomplishments or whatever, because galleries would be interested in that if you're going to talk to them. But God, I have not updated mine in way too long. But listing, like, the story is what buyers are going to read about you. Now, don't make it too crazy long, because they don't need a novel. They're not going to read that. But give them a little bit about you. But the classes you've taken, they don't care. That's like filler material that I just don't think, I think you're more likely to lose them when you're putting in too much filler material. And I think that that's really what it is. If you want to put your classes, you can list them below, but even that, I don't think I would list classes on there. Oh, wow. Thank you, I'm going to butcher your name. Flores, I've got that part right. Jel? It's a very pretty name that I can't pronounce, and I apologize. Thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, I have goosebumps. I'm going to cry. Wow, thank you. Now I'm all distracted. I'm like, wow, somebody was so nice to me. Let's see, what other website tips do I have? I would recommend, if you're taking your artwork serious, like you're really going to turn it into a business, I don't like the websites that have advertisements all over them either. So technically my website gets enough traffic. It wouldn't be a horrible idea financially for me to go ahead and set it up with Google AdSense. I don't like the look of it. I feel like it ruins the atmosphere of the website. So for me, I opted out of doing that, even though I do get a lot of traffic to the site. It just wasn't worth it to me. So I didn't, but a lot of the free sites that you go with have built-in advertisements, and some of those advertisements, like I used to have ads, like it was just, there was no other option, but I don't know if you guys remember, what was it? Angel Fire. Those websites all had advertisements. Oh, thank you, JL, I don't know, I'm sorry, Miss Flores? I will go that way. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm all distracted now. I got all excited and goosebumpy. Where was I going with that story? Oh, the advertisements. So with like Angel Fire were kind of most of our first websites back in like late 90s. And they would put advertisements on it. Well, now, and I'm even seeing that on YouTube. The YouTube stuff, people expect there to be ads, but especially when political stuff comes on, I've had people who didn't understand. I have no control over what ads they place. Like they just put whatever they want. Get mad and yell at me because the political party they didn't agree with had an ad on my channel. I didn't, no, that's not, Wade, no chewing. No chewing, itchy boy. That wasn't a thing. But so some people can be a little bit, put off by that anyway. YouTube, we all expect ads, but on a personal website, you have to decide what's best for you. I'm not a huge fan of the ads on it. I feel like it makes the site itself feel cheaper, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just don't like it. Hyle? The J sounds like an H. Okay, instead, Hyle. Hale or Hyle? Hale? I'm bad. I'm sorry. You can always tell when I'm not going to know how to pronounce someone's name, because I usually skip over the name altogether so I don't look as ridiculous as I feel when I can't read a name. Let's see. Starving Artist Collective said, jump right out of websites with advertising, greedy and too cluttered. Yeah, and the clutter, yeah. And so what some people will do is put, like with the Google AdSense, they would put just the ads at the bottom of the page. So most people aren't being bothered too much by it, but some of them are so bad with the pop-ups too. Like some are really bad, but those websites I also jump out of. If it's like a little advertisement here and there, I'll usually say, a lot of news articles will have that. And I get that they have to be able to monetize in some way, but that's starting to make a mess. I need to spray that. Actually, I'm going to let that set. What are we at? 216. Yeah, let's spray that, and then I'll work on the head while that dries. Actually, I'm going to leave the head covered so it doesn't get sprayed. I shook this up really well earlier, so I don't have to shake up the texture fixative as much this time. Actually, I haven't even checked to see if this is clogged at all. We're good. So when I spray the texture fixative, I just do these little, like, I just barely push it so hard enough that some stuff comes out. I'm not like, push it all the way and let it splatter everywhere. This really helps me not to get bigger splatters where I don't want them. So a little tip for you there with powder blender. Paul said, I visited artist website recently and most of them are very slick and so good. Nice. Yeah, we went through, there was a website that, or an artist who was in an art group, and they were selling and they were charging so much money for artists, saying, I will build your artist website. They were horrible, like horrible. They were a member of whatever the group was. I'm not going to name anything, but they were so bad at making these artist websites. And I'm like, if these people just set up a WordPress site and do it themselves really easily, just get a theme and you just drag and drop whatever you want. Some of these were bad, like, oh wow, bad. Oh, actually, I guess I could work on the fin instead. But anyway, yeah, that was some of the stuff people will do on these websites were like most artist websites, even a few years back, were terrible. There were very few that were well done. So I haven't looked at many lately. I never have time to look, but I'm not sure how much they've improved. But it was kind of funny to me. I'm like, artists, we're visual. Like, that's our thing, is making things pretty. But for some reason, we're really bad at making websites pretty. I don't know why we're not applying what we understand about composition and all of that to our websites. So it's good if more people are making them look nicer. And I think part of that probably is stuff like WordPress, where you've got themes and it makes everything look good for you. You just have to drag and drop. You pick a pretty theme and you put your stuff where it goes and it looks nice. So I suspect that's probably why, if they really are getting better, why they're starting to look nicer, because they were not so good a few years back. Like, I was looking for ideas years ago when I was redoing my website, and I'm like, I had to start looking to get ideas for good websites at non-artist websites, because the artists, they may have amazing work, but their websites looked like a dumpster fire. Let's see. No, GoDaddy, actually, no, I'd have no problem naming them. That is a horrible company. You want to be scammed? Sign up for GoDaddy anything. You get a domain name from them. They're going to tell you were late even when you pay early, and then try to sell you back the domain name for more. GoDaddy bought out LachriFineArt.com and tried to sell it to me. Well, I don't need it because I have Lachri.com. Why would I want a longer URL? So no, but they are the dirtiest. Like, people get screwed over by them constantly, which is kind of fitting because their main customer base to start with were porn sites. So that is GoDaddy. Their whole industry is so I won't run with that any further than that. But no, that is a horrible their customer service, everything about them is absolutely horrible. So even though you may have only paid $5 for that domain name, you can be sure they're going to screw you out of it eventually. I've heard so many horror stories with them. Let's see. Oops. It just jumped. Paul said, yeah, those are the old days of the internet now. Maybe because of the DIY culture, some offer tutorials like you in other fields. Oh, that's a good point too. There are a lot of lessons on how to use different programs. That's a good point. Sarah said, I've got some Derwent drawing pencils after your review, and they are lovely pencils. They are. I wish they had more colors. I love those pencils. We're going to hear construction through the open window, but the main thing is we're not dying from skunk dog. That was really bad, Gibson. Although, okay, that's going to get too loud out there. Hold on, closing the window now. Hopefully he's done. No more from you. Keep your air inside. By the way, when we nap, brother's sleeping in my room. You can stay out here. Sarah said, when, if ever, do you think it's important for an artist to share their education on their website? The only time I think a lot of artists I can see when they're super proud of themselves, like they got a master's in art and whatever. The buyers don't care about that though. The people who are going to care more about that usually would be like galleries and stuff would want that information, or maybe for a magazine article to make yourself sound fancier. But realistically, your art is what's going to speak for itself. So I've told, there's a girl I knew, phenomenal artist. She was really interested in realism. That was her goal. She was a teenager. She goes off to college. Her stuff, so years later, almost has a wannabe Picasso, but not good. It looks more like something a 5-year-old painted. Like Picasso there's technique, there's skill, there's stuff like it's not my favorite style, but I also get it. Like there's detail and there's balance and there's, this was not. This looked, nothing about it was good. There's not a single thing I looked at this and went, well, okay, I can, not my style, but I get it. No. They basically made her paint like a 5-year-old painting with their toes. And I'm like, it's not impressive to me that you went to college when that's what college is putting out for a lot of these artists. I mean, not in all cases, it depends on what teacher you get, but you have so many teachers who they themselves, one of the things that happens with art. So this is what I always ask my students when they would come into my class and say, I'd be like, okay, what are you interested in working in? I like abstract. Okay, no, there's nothing wrong with liking abstract. But what I always needed to know is, do you like abstract because you think realism is too hard? Or do you like abstract because that's what you're really drawn to? Like, I need to know which it is. Every single time, students would tell me they liked realism, they just couldn't do it. Well, then let's teach you how to do it. Let's do what you're passionate about. And they were fine once I showed them the techniques and stuff to do. So I'm not bashing if somebody's goal is to do one or the other, but it is very, very common in my experience for somebody who got into abstract or they only will do abstract. It's very common that it's because they never learned how to do other styles. Now, there are artists who are amazing at both styles, but it's very, very common, and a lot of them get into teaching. So once they start teaching, they start pushing abstract as being the only type of, and this wasn't even abstract though. I don't even know what you would call this 5-year-old toe painting, but this is I see this all the time coming out of colleges. And so when people are like, oh, I have a master's in art, so you're bad, is all I can assume until I've seen your art. Like, that's my assumption. Now, it's not always true. Somebody can get a master's and be phenomenal, whatever. But they honestly undid how good she was skilled. And like, even if she liked Picasso style, which I knew she did not, let's say she liked Picasso style, it wasn't even that. It was 5-year-old toe paintings. And I'm like, what? So that degree is not impressive at least to me. And as a buyer, if someone's like, I have a degree in art. Okay, let me see your art, because the degree means nothing to me. What art you're producing, that's what matters to me. And most artists who I admire and who I want to buy work from, none of them went to school for this. So now that I think about it, like the ones that I like, I don't think a single one went and got a degree. So going back to when does that impress somebody? It usually doesn't. There's a girl I used to work with when I taught it at that Let's Art party, where people would drink wine while whoever was teaching. And I was the only teacher they had there. So it was like painting with a twist, but it was required. They wanted everyone to have a degree in art. That was a big deal to them. they hired me because I had so much experience in teaching. So they actually came to my class to see how my students were doing, all that. So they ended up hiring me for that. Well, I ended up being the teacher if I was available. And if there was a big party, it didn't matter. Like one day it was on my birthday, my parents were visiting and I had to work because it was a huge party there and they needed me to teach it. The experience is what mattered. My skill is what mattered. And so I had this girl, she was always my assistant. It was never the other way around. So even me without a degree, I had more experience. She's an amazing artist. So don't get me wrong, but she would announce to everybody, oh, I have a degree in art. I have a degree in art. And you're my assistant. Go be my assistant with your degree. So it seems like the artist is more proud of it and more impressed by it. The students didn't care. The students wanted my help because I'm the one with the experience. So it was, it's kind of I'm not saying people shouldn't be proud of their degree. I'm just saying it doesn't impress that. An art degree doesn't impress that many people. I'm gonna get so many thumbs downs from that with people who are currently paying off insane student loan debt because they decided they needed an art degree. Sorry, but that debt kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Let's see. I'm scrolling. Where are we? Gypsy Heart said, Eek, I'm so happy I just got confirmation that we're officially moving back to Texas, to Little Elm. Any tips on moving art studios across country? God, I miss Texas. I'm excited you're coming out here. Yay, you are like right next door to me. I have goosebumps right now. We are so getting together. Yay. Any moves? Package your stuff well. So like all your 16 by 20s go together. Make sure it's all the same size so you don't have a smaller canvas pushing on a heavier canvas. You can put cardboard. So put glassine between stuff and then cardboard to keep everything like from bending and pushing on the boxes, but pack them well because they are going to get trashed. The canvas is in the paper. That's what you really have to worry about. The art supplies themselves, the rest of it, I don't think was a huge deal, but just package those really well. The canvases and the paper are going to be your biggest, like, be careful with. And if you oil paint or you have OMS anywhere, keep that upright, like in your cup holder in the car or something, because that tips it all and it is going all over the place and you don't want that all over your other supplies. So watch where your OMS is if you use that. Starving Artist Collective said, if not GoDaddy, which is advertised everywhere, who would you recommend for buying a domain name? Have my own name on GoDaddy, but need to change. So I still use EMWD, and I think they're going to have to get sold. The main guy who ran it died, which is still weirding me out because like I've known him for 20 years and I'm so sad. I don't even know what happened because I don't even think he was that old, but he recently died. And so the family is selling the company. So I'm kind of waiting to see where that goes. Normally I would recommend EMWD, but I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that, so I would have to look into it. I don't know if any of you guys can make some suggestions. I've always just recommended them, so I really don't know. And I've had problems with other companies that it wasn't GoDaddy, but there were other ones that I ran into issues with where they did the same thing. I paid in advance and then they shut down my website saying I hadn't paid yet, like when it came renew, and they screwed up. And then they pulled out a ton of money out of my bank account in late fees. And I'm like, I've got all the paperwork right here. I was not late at all. You guys screwed this up. And well, we can't do refunds. We can only credit your account. I should have contacted my bank. But on the flip side, my concern with that was I don't want my website taken down again. I don't want this messed up. It was a big deal. So I'm not sure who everyone is using now. I'm going to have to look into that. Paul said, Lisa, it's weird because Facebook Creator has been active and announcing new features and thanking creators. Like, whoa, it's interesting. They can try all they want. Facebook, as far as I'm concerned, they're already rotting. Like, they're done. Paul said, and has been replying on everyone's comment under his post. Wait, because Facebook's creator. Oh, Zuckerberg has been announcing new features, thanking creators. Yeah, I think he knows people are leaving and done with his crap. Facebook's doing some creepy stuff, removing, like if someone sends a personal message, some of those are getting removed and not seen when someone tells somebody else about their MeWe. MeWe is getting filtered heavy on Facebook, and it's like, whoa, somebody's getting scared because they didn't care when we used to share Google Plus. No one cared at all. Like Facebook didn't care. They knew it wasn't real competition. Now, they're a bit scared apparently because they are deleting people for promoting other sites. Not all other sites, but I think that MeWe, something about MeWe has Facebook a little concerned because they're getting, yeah. Sarah Makes Art said, I suspect people who advertise artists to tell people about their education are confusing entrepreneurs with employees. A boss looking to hire someone would definitely want that info. Oh, absolutely. Well, and even, I think some magazines that I've worked with, they'll like want your like bio with that sort of thing, so they may like that, but most of the time, no. Dee said, someone I know had a master's in fine arts, painted abstracts, asked her about her art. She said, it's a picture of my lungs. I guess. Okay. If she enjoys that. Like, and I'm not opposed to like abstract and stuff. My thing in bringing that up is just what is the artist's desire? Because there's so many artists who get into abstract. It's because they want to be artists. They like feeling artsy, but they didn't want to put the time into learning how to paint the style that really interested them. I have known so many who did that. And then you get the whole, well, this is just my style. No, that's just you didn't learn how to draw. That's not the same thing. Langle Art said, EMWD, he died of COVID. Did he? Oh, gosh. He was such a joy to deal with. He's amazing. I am so sad for his family. He was not, I think he was my age, so he was in his 40s, I believe. It's still like, he's one that's real, like, you'll have people you've known distantly. Losing him definitely bothered me more, because it's like, that man has helped me so much over the last 20 years when I had problems. Like, middle of the night, I would contact him, like, thinking he would contact me back in the day, but that was when I was working on my site. He'd get up at 4 in the morning and fix whatever I screwed up on my site. Like, he was amazing, and he's just a cool guy. He played Warcraft. Like, I just liked him a lot. He was a good man, so, yeah. So at this point, I was thinking about, like, okay, do I go ahead and find a new server now? I'm going to wait and let the family, because if they can sell out my account and make money off that, then fine. And then I'll give the new, whoever they sell it to the chance. But we'll see what happens, because I've got my domain name renews, I think, in October. So I need to make sure that actually gets renewed. And I don't know how they're running the site at this point. So, I mean, my website works fine. They're taking my payments just fine. So, yeah. I'm so sad for their family. Like, he was really active with his son, and just, that's horrible. Eos Love said, hi Lisa, glad I made it even though I'm super late. Well, welcome. Langle Art said, yeah, he was young. He had young kids. He was wonderful. Yeah, I'm waiting too. Yeah, not sure what'll happen there. At least those of us who still have our account with them, I mean, the family, that they're still able to pay their bills with that. It's just that at this point, if we were to have an issue, I'm not sure what happens, because do they have a family member already helping? Have you contacted them at all? I've been hesitant to do anything on my website. I'm like, if I screw this up, there's no one to help me right now. Which is super selfish of me to worry about that, but I mean, it's my business and I have to pay my bills too. But yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go. Muhammad, these pencils are the Faber-Castell Polychromos. Links are in the description of everything I'm using, and I'm using Powder Blender to blend on sanded paper. Serving Artist Collective said, last 6 months I've seen so many artists making why I left Facebook Instagram videos, negative advertising to thousands of visual creators and consumers. Not surprised Facebook is getting nervous. That is awesome. I think the thing that is going to make one of the biggest differences, it's not like me getting my sister onto Facebook. I don't think that's going to make a difference. Creators, we need other creators off of Facebook and onto other accounts. Sorry, I have a mosquito bite on my foot and I'm scratching it because I'm a real classy lady like that. But I think we need more creators, video creators, artists, musicians. We need people that other people really follow to move over. We need them to move over to other platforms. That's what's going to start pushing the other brands, big brands onto, everyone, the creators that are creating the content that people are really looking at, more so than just finding out what their family member had for dinner. That's what's going to make the difference. Because I see a lot of people going, well, my friends and family won't move. Okay, we all have to start, fine, but that's like, make the start, especially if you're a creator. Just copy paste whatever you post on Facebook. Go ahead and post on MeWe now. Just get that rolling. Oh, they do have temporary support help? That's good. Oh, I'm still so sad about him. I'm so sad for his family. I mean, you can do the whole he's in a better place because him and I had very similar beliefs. So I'm like, okay, he's good now, but his family. Paul said, yes, we have distant friends that we don't regularly talk but share some sort of connection. I have one who's in Spain. Whoop, that just jumped. This is jumping like crazy right now. Hold on one second. Where are we? Sarah Makes Art said, there was a time decades ago where if someone went to an art school, they were probably really good, better than they would have been otherwise. Yeah, I mean, and some art schools will produce amazing work, and it gets you the connections, which is honestly a bigger deal. So I don't want to make it sound like it's completely worthless. But honestly, you can do that on your own. But it's like my friend Jaime, he was already good before art school, but art school refined him and made him even better. So he, I know of people who did go to art school and came out better, and he had a ton of connections because of it. So he worked for Disney, he worked for Lucasfilms, he actually lived at the Lucas Ranch or whatever it was for a while, worked on some of the Star Wars things, worked on like background stuff for Harry Potter. Like he did some amazing stuff. So school was beneficial to him. Absolutely. He went to the art center in Pasadena, I believe. He had a full ride scholarship. So he was, there are cases where school is beneficial. But I would say statistically, usually no. And he even said, he's one of the first ones that'll tell you. If somebody goes into art school and they don't know how to paint, if they're already not good, art school's not the thing that's going to fix it for them. In his case, he was already good. They just kind of refined his skills, gave him some different tools and connections. And he had a full ride, so he didn't go into debt to do this. So that's a big thing. Like being an artist, you're essentially starting a business if you want to be, let's say, a studio artist. It doesn't make sense to start that business in debt. And that's what school, that makes it very hard. Like people I know who have masters in art are working at Macy's in the makeup counter. You don't have to have a degree to do that. They have to do that so they can pay back this insane student debt loan. Like that's a whole other thing. But it can serve a good purpose, but I just don't think it's necessary. And I think so many of us, we were fed this lie from the whole time growing up, all constantly. We all heard this. You've got to go to college. You've got to go to college. What college are you going to go to? What are you going to go to college for? I heard this from the time I was in elementary school. And I think that's even gotten worse. It wasn't like, oh, you can go to a trade school instead, which would be a better option for most people. It was just so heavily pushed that you have to go to college. And I am one who tends to go against the grain. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not going to college. So, and my mom was not one who was going to make me. I remember asking her that when I was in elementary school. And she's like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not paying for it. So that was, my parents didn't have any money. But yeah, we fed youth this lie that they need to take out these insane. We give loans for any degree that is we're giving out loans for degrees that are never going to be able to pay back that loan. That makes no sense. For a doctor, for a lawyer, absolutely, that makes sense. For half the stuff that we're giving degrees on, it's how are you going to make a living with that degree? That doesn't even make sense. If you have expendable income and you wanted to get a degree in basket weaving, fine. But to go into debt to do, you're not going to. And it's like this, I feel like we've manipulated these kids into going to a debt that they're probably going to have a very hard time ever paying back with the career choice they went into. Sally said, how do you like the new message? Facebook is asking people if they have family or friends who are behaving too much like extremists. That is terrifying. I don't care what side of the political board you are on. Facebook doesn't get to decide that. I can't say too much because even though everyone would agree with anything I say, it's just people will take it out of context, if that makes sense. So, and I don't care what side you're on. I'm on the side of no. I don't want Facebook deciding for me. And it's funny because it's it may even be something I see misinformation spread all the time. I don't need Facebook to be the one to tell me that's misinformation. I can figure that out on my own. I think I guess would be the easiest way to say that. I don't want government deciding through text messages. That's one of the things that they've been talking about is going through the phone companies. So the phone companies do what Facebook's doing, fact checking our text messages for potential misinformation. I will cancel that phone. Whatever phone company does that, I will cancel so freaking fast. I don't even talk about that sort of thing in text messages. So that's what's funny is I may agree with you that there's but you don't get to decide that for me. That's where I have the issue of you don't get to make these choices on what I'm able to consume or what I can see or read or that. It's terrifying. I don't like anyone getting involved in that sort of thing. Paul said, would there still be another heyday for Facebook? I don't think so. I think Facebook's gone. I think they've crossed too many lines for too many people, and they're still the biggest platform. More people are using it, but they are bleeding members constantly. Well, they keep deleting accounts. That's not helping matters. But they're making sure that we all know, don't depend on our, they deleted my entire account or banned it or whatever, deactivated it. Because they thought I might have been hacked or spammed or some crap like that. And it was their algorithm did something wrong. It was nothing malicious. And I've said this before. It's not like, because I stay out of politics on Facebook. I'm not clicking links. I'm not doing anything. Facebook has no, I am not involved in anything, not in private messages, not in anything. So this was not like Facebook, I said something that offended Facebook, or it was nothing to do with that. There was nothing personal. It was just a bad algorithm. Well, I can't trust my business to your bad algorithm. Wow, whatever is going on with construction is loud right now. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. I think more and more people are waking up to, this is not good for our business. Why would I waste my time posting on Facebook when I can go post everything, every single thing, every frog I post, every fish I post, every farting greyhound I post over on MeWe? You guys all see it. That's not how it is on Facebook. Facebook, you get to post once a day to have up to 3% of your followers see it. If you post more, less and less and less people will see it. That's not fun. Like, I want to share more of my day with you guys. So, EOS Love said, I learned more off YouTube than ever going to art school. And it's funny. I used to hear that from students all the time that had a degree in art, that went to art school, but came to my class who does not have a degree in art, and said they learned more from me in a month than they did in 4 years in college. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. So it really does depend on the teachers that you get, for sure. But let's see. Kimberly said, how does Facebook ask for extremists regarding the... I'm not even going to do any of that. You're getting into stuff that could get me in trouble talking about too much on Facebook. Like, there are some weird rules that we've got to dance around now, where if we say the wrong thing, the wrong word, we get flagged, and I don't want to get in trouble with... Because YouTube does some of this stuff too, and just do a Google search on like the terms you just wrote, and you can get some more information. Let's see. Cat's Art Pig said, I have to go. Have a good weekend. Thanks for a great live stream. Bye. Thanks for joining. Velma said, my daughter hated the college questions. It got so bad that she stated giving people startling answers or telling them to mind their own business. Yeah, it was just assumed. Like I remember I was in the Claremont Symphony Orchestra, or the Claremont Youth Symphony Orchestra, and for those of us who were graduating, they made us stand up in front of, or during one of our performances, those of us graduating, and tell them what colleges we were going to, because that was just assumed. Everyone's obviously going to college, and I was like, my plan at the time was I'm going to go train dogs for the police. That was my goal. I didn't end up going that route, but it's like, I mean, yeah, we should have an idea of what we're going to do, but it was kind of weird. It was just so assumed that, and everyone looks at you like, oh, poor little blonde girl can't afford college, and I couldn't. But it was just like, it was awkward. Right, it's kind of like the same thing I got when people would do the whole thing with me and Matt. When are you going to have kids? We're not having kids. Oh, you'll change your mind. No, I won't. Never did. Other people's kids are fine. I'm not like anti-child. I'm just anti-reproducing on my own. Like, it's just not too many health issues. Let's not pass this on. Let's see. Rhonda said, are you able to suggest another brand of sanded paper apart from Lux? So here's the thing. It will work, but it's not archival on the front and the back. And we've done some testing with it and found out that the back does inevitably end up affecting the front from the test we did with the pH pen. And that was with the UART 500. If you're using, that was the one that I used to use, or, if I was going to use UART, it would be that. You can use it for practice. I would not use all of my professional archival products on that paper. I don't trust it. The back is not acid free. The company is telling people that, what was it somebody said they saw on a recent live stream with them? They're like, oh, well, the package says it's archival. Lying doesn't make it true. On your packaging doesn't make it true. I tested with the pH pen, the front. The front was now testing after being stored in that same package for a few years. The front is now testing as not being acid free either. that's an issue. Now, I don't know if it means the back is soaking through the front or if it's because of them touching the front and the back. It doesn't matter. It's been exposed to that now. I won't trust, like, I'm not going to use my very expensive pencils, my very expensive powder blender product. Actually, that's not that expensive, but I'm not going to use all these expensive tools on paper that isn't going to be archival. So for practice, sure, I'll use it for scratch paper because I'm not going to waste my Lux archival, which is, it's pricey to get apparently to have real archival paper is pricey. The other option would be Fisher 400. It didn't show as being as it did show that it was acidic on the back, not as extreme as the UART. So that would be an option. But the same thing, I'm not going to sell any work I've done on that paper, and it sucks because I've done some nice work on those. I won't sell them. Actually, I need to make sure they're not for sale on my website. I don't think they are. But I don't feel safe selling them at this point because those aren't completely acid-free on the back. But if you just wanted to practice scratch paper, getting the hang of it, and you don't want to waste your expensive Lux archival, that would be Fisher 400 would be my first choice. UART would be my last choice because screw that company. The stuff they've said about anyone who questions their products, that is not a good company. I do not trust anything from them at this point. Let's see. Paul said, I'm learning new vocabulary. It's fun. Everyone's so offended by everything, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it's getting so hard to have a discussion and talk without potentially upsetting someone. I'm like, my goal is not, can my intentions matter a little bit more? Because my goal is not to offend anybody. I don't want to upset or hurt anybody, but it's getting hard to know how to do it. Nick said, you call it a bad algorithm, but I still feel it was Facebook's passive-aggressive retribution for you simulcasting live streams with YouTube. Possible. It's possible. They want their cut of money. Yeah, and my live streams on Facebook, I didn't make any money from because they don't put ads that I can make a profit from. Like, there's no benefit really other than trying to get more people to see it. But yeah, you may be right. Sally said let's see, Kimberly Google, okay, yeah, you got that. Okay. So now some of this purple in here is getting a little too purpley. Let's get some green in there to muddy that up a bit. And this is just going to be the base. This is, Turtle's going to take a few streams to get done. He's really detailed. Paul said, they have that now with stars. Huh? What were we talking about? I don't know where that one came from. There's always the delay on that. So you combine the delay with YouTube versus when I actually get to the question with my brain not functioning properly. And the chance of me knowing what anyone is talking about is actually fairly low. Paul said Facebook pays their creator 0.1 USD per star. Oh. Well, I won't be a part of it. It's funny too, because I have one account and I'll look at like frog groups because there's things that there aren't active enough on MeWe yet. And maybe that's something we need to do, like the reef group on MeWe. There is a reef group. I'm almost tempted to start my own. We'll see, and make it very, very active. But you know what, I think I'm going to, because you've got a lot of people who are spamming in these other groups and it makes me not want to post. I think I'm going to start my own Reef Keepers group. I don't think it's going to be like Lacri's Reef Keeper. I'm just going to post a thing and I'm going to invite you guys. I'll post it over on MeWe. If you can do me a favor when I make it, even if you're not interested in reef keeping, join the group just so that the group then is public. So you have to have, I think, is it 5 members before the group is searchable? But I'm going to post every day. Just post something about the reef. And if you've got fish, you can post your freshwater fish too. I don't care. But some of these groups, like the one reef keeping group that is on MeWe, it's not active. And I'm like, I'm over here complaining, well, they're not active enough. We individually can fix that. We are the ones with the control. That's not a MeWe thing. That's an us. Like, I need to post more. So, but I think I'm going to make my own group, because one of the problems that I've had with some of the saltwater groups I'm in, one person had not posted, like one group, no one's posted since May. And all that keeps coming up is spam posts. And the moderators not paying attention or getting rid of it. So I'll make my own. We'll take care of that. If one of you guys wants to be a mod for me in that group, let me know. Message me over on MeWe on my personal account. We'll get that set up probably if I get time later today. But I really want to start a good group. Like some of these, if you are interested in something, let's say you're a woodworker and there aren't enough woodworking groups, start one. I'll join it just to help you with the numbers. Again, like same thing, because you need to have, I think, 5 members before it's searchable on MeWe, and post every day. And I think that's going to be the trick, is that we need to be active and post, because that's what happens when people join MeWe or they join a newer platform. MeWe's not that new, but they'll join one of these platforms. They're like, well, no one's posting. We need to be the ones posting. We can make that happen so that more people stick around and join these groups and find what they're looking for. Muhammad had asked, let's see, if you're asking for a political type response, we would rather stay clear of that. Please remember. Oh, yeah. Okay, no, you're not talking to me. Sorry, I actually didn't see. Oh, I just saw, Muhammad, you had asked about Pakistan. I don't know anything about what's going on in Pakistan right now, so I can't say, but I do typically avoid politics as much as possible, because most of us aren't good. I'm trying to tell you right now, I don't agree with any specific platform. Like, I go by somebody's policies, not by the letter next to their name, is how I decide if I like something somebody does or says, or when it comes to politics. So I'm not going to make anyone happy when it comes to politics. But I try to keep that out. This is a place where we don't have to deal with the nastiness that goes on in the world. But no, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on in Pakistan, but I'm not going to, even if I did, I probably would not be bringing it up in the chat, because I don't want to, we try to keep this like happy, talk about the negative, avoid tigers thing. Velma, let's see. Velma said, my daughter told us that she would go to college when she knew what she wanted to do. It was too expensive to go and keep switching goals. Your daughter's a genius. See, that is what needs to happen. I think too, we have this thing where we're like immediately out of school. You need to know, out of high school, you need to know exactly what you want to do with your life. And it's like going into debt to take classes. Like you could go to a community college and get your basic stuff, your math and English and stuff like that you have to get out of the way. Do that at a community college. That makes sense to me. Do it low, and then if you wanted to be a part of a bigger college, once you figured out what you want to go for, then that makes sense too. But like the way that we're getting these kids into debt who don't know what they want to do yet, like it just does not make any sense. And then I also think it's a little bit weird too, to be expecting kids who are teenagers to suddenly know what they want to do with the rest of their life immediately after high school. Give them a couple years to figure it out. Give them, getting their basic education out of the way is no problem. At a community college, that's not that expensive. They can work at McDonald's and pay for the community college. So, that makes more sense. I just feel like so much we do with kids doesn't make sense. I love that about your daughter, though. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah, Muhammad, I'm sorry. I just don't know what's going on over there. I usually am pretty up to date with certain news things. That's when I'm really not certain what's going on. So there's nothing I could, I can't speak about it one way or another. It's funny. Do you guys ever feel like, when you find out there's something you don't know about, like, wow, is there something going on in Pakistan I'm not aware of right now? And then I'm like, wow, I felt so stupid that I don't know everything about I like to know a lot about a lot of things, and I'm apparently going to have to look into that. Shayna said, how do you keep artwork you're not proud of? I really want to enjoy the process, but my constant obsession in keeping artwork well organized and bad art takes the fun out of things. But you know what I love about the bad artwork? Is comparing it. So let's say a year or 2 years later, you're producing something, you've kind of figured stuff out a little bit more, stuff's going better. I love comparing the bad with the good. I keep it all. That is a really cool thing, to be able to look back and see how much you've improved. I think it's one of the most encouraging things, because then you realize, so right now you're doing something that you like, but imagine even in a few more years how much better it will be. I don't know. I look at it a little bit differently, because I like to see the improvement. And even if you have something bad, if nothing else, you practiced and you learned what you didn't like. That's not a bad thing at all. And no matter what you're doing, good or bad, it is moving you forward towards that end goal. So you want to try to look at it that way. I think we get very hung up on wanting every piece we do to be the most amazing thing we've ever drawn. And especially after and I've done that. I think we're all guilty of this. But let's say my lion with the coral mane. I love that painting, and as soon, it was one of my best paintings, and then you're like, well, now I need to top it. You don't have to top every painting. That's okay. You can, take some time getting some other fancy ideas, because that one was a very unique idea. So my next one might have been cherries or something really boring. Not every painting has to top every last painting, and not every painting has to be good as your other paintings. All of those, though, are really fun to look at years later and see how much you've improved. That's like, it's definitely a really fun thing about art. But I think you have to change the mindset a little bit. Instead of being discouraged that it's not as good as you wanted it to be or is not as good as your other art, look at it as you can only go up from there. But also just comparing that with stuff you do in the future is so much fun. I probably just got colored pencil on my face. Angie said, I have my first watercolor painting that I did a few years ago hanging in the studio so I could see the improvements. That is a good idea. That is a really good idea. Yeah, I need to make a frog group too. Because the only frog groups on MeWe are frog groups that are like selling dart frogs and stuff. And it's not really what I'm looking for. I want to see more discussion on care. And maybe I'll do that, and I can kind of post what I've gone through with the health stuff of my frogs, have that documented so other people can hopefully learn from that. So that's another group I need to start. Like a frog care type group. And the bad thing is, I mean, in the beginning, if there's not a lot of members, you're not going to have as much advice, but we need to still post just to get it going. So eventually, hopefully when others join, they're like, oh, this is a group for me that I can contribute to. And it just gets better with time. Yeah, it's funny talking about art you don't like. I can tell you too, I've had the opposite art I loved where I'm like, I can't ever sell this. I'm so in love with it. Actually, is it still over there? I think it is. I have my giraffe with butterflies. I did it years ago and I loved this thing. There was just something about this painting I thought was the best painting of all the paintings. It's still hanging in here. I couldn't sell it at the time because I was so in love with it. And it's funny because I look at it now, I'm like, I mean, it's all right, but I've got other ones I like better now. So it's kind of funny too to see that growth, even when it was something that you liked, seeing the improvement over the years. Sarah said, making some boring art is super fun. No stress to make it look fancy. That is so true. Honestly, a lot of the sketches, I'm going to get pencil all over my nose from scratching my nose. A lot of the sketches that I've done with charcoal, those were really fun. Like I did one of the pumpkin, I did the bell. Like they were simple and they were so, like I had so much fun because I was just working with my values. It was simple. It was fast. Like they are, yes, some of those are definitely really fun to do. Poor sea turtle. He's probably starting to feel like he's never going to get to the good stages. Still just blocking everything in. Blend that a little bit so I can come back through with highlights more. Okay, we're gonna stop there for today. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this now. So next week we'll continue on with the rest of the turtle and then clean stuff up. Actually, kind of looks better on camera than it does in person. We need to make it look good in person too. I shouldn't tell you guys that. I should just be like, yeah, it's amazing. It looks amazing in person too. It really doesn't. It's kind of sloppy right now. It's at a very sloppy stage where I'll have to come through and really sharpen the edges, get some of the darks a bit darker. I think the darks look darker on your screen than what I need to make them more. So let's just lightly spray that so you're ready for next week. There we go. Let's see. Eo said, I tried pastel pencils for the first time and I loved them because they're so much like charcoal. I just couldn't, they're drier and messy. I just couldn't get over that, which sucks because I love the look of pastels. I'm so weird though. Paul said, I'm finishing Sylvie charcoal drawing after this live stream. Oh, post it in MeWe. I want to see it. Okay. So, if you have not already, check out Joseph and Nick's channels. They are our moderators. They help so much. They basically run, well, them and Michael Perry over on, actually a lot of you. There are a few of you who are helpful moderators on some of our different groups. But Nick and Joseph kind of like they're our managers. They help so much in the groups and here and keeping like spam and stuff out of the chat. So check their channels out. They both have channels here on YouTube. Links are in the video description. Joseph has been live streaming them. I don't know if are you still going to be live streaming coming up here? He has been live streaming on Mondays, usually when I'm out of the house, which sucks because I miss them way too often. But they're fun because it's a lot of the same people in our chat here are in our chat over there. So check that out. I've got merch now, lachrimerch.com. GoDaddy didn't buy that URL out. But we've got t-shirts and just pillows and some fun stuff over there. What else do I need to announce? I'm working right now. I'm super late on this week's video. Should have been up Tuesday. Didn't get to it. Working on it for Thursday. Didn't finish it because I had to go buy dog food. It's been a whole thing. So I'm trying to, we'll see if I can get it up this weekend. I'm not sure. It might just get pushed off till next week, but that will be up, and it has some of my new fish in the video as well. But it'll be, I think it's going to be the lion and charcoal video. That will be on YouTube. If not this weekend, probably not this weekend. It'll probably end up being next week. And then Wednesday night, we'll be continuing our surreal marine digital painting at 8 p.m. Central Time. And then make sure to follow me over on MeWe. I've got my personal account is listed in the video description. Actually, I think all my accounts are listed in the video description, but I'm going to start a new Reef Keepers group. If you can join, even if you're not into reef keeping, just so I can get other reef keepers to see it, because it's just the way the search thing works on MeWe, that would help a lot. And I mean, you should be joining MeWe anyway, because it's an amazing platform. Thank you guys, and I think that's it. Do I have everything? I think probably missing something important, but anyway, I think that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Or on MeWe all weekend long.